worst inflation since 1981.
Wow, 9.1% year over year, much hotter than expected.
Not only will we have these big increases in inflation this year, but that will lead people to expect higher
inflation. The one word that's on everybody's mind. But what exactly is inflation? Inflation is simply the average rate prices are rising. But due to the pandemic, stimulus checks, and overall economic depression, we are seeing inflation soaring, which raises the prices of everything. Let's look at the CPI, or Consumer Price Index. This shows how much everything went up or down due to the prices. And yep, you guessed it, it went up 9.1%, one of the highest inflation points. Let's look at the most noticeable increase.
Now hit $5.
Has now hit $5 for the first time ever across the country.
You guessed it, gas prices. In 2020, on average, gas prices were $2.24 a gallon. And now in 2022, it's $4.58 on average. That's an increase of 104% within 2 years. I wish I could invest in something like gas prices, because I think I'd be rich by now, right? It's sad. But let's even take a step further. This is Jim. He put $100,000 into savings in 1972. 50 years ago to be exact. He decided to pull it all out and spend it. But Jim noticed that $100,000 can barely buy him anything anymore. $100,000 in 1972's money is worth around $700,000 in today's money. $100,000 in today's money is worth $13,000 in 1972's money. And I know it's a little bit confusing. This is a very hard subject to understand. But once you do realize that inflation is killing the dollar, then you will want to get into an asset, unlike Jim. Jim, I'm sorry, my man. You just lost a lot of money there due to inflation. The one asset that is gaining major popularity is Bitcoin. And for good reason. Bitcoin is a decentralized currency, which means nobody can manipulate it, unlike the US dollar. Bitcoin has a circulating supply of 21 million Bitcoin, and it's never gonna increase. That gets rid of your inflation issues. Unlike the US dollar, you will want to hold on to Bitcoin as it will appreciate in price over time. We will talk more about that in reason 2. You might be looking at the chart right now and be like, Paul, you're crazy. Appreciating price? It's going down. It's not appreciating. Doesn't appreciating mean it's gonna go up? Yes, right now, Bitcoin is down 70% from all-time high. But if you zoom out, Bitcoin is always going up. It just looks like another dip where people can buy and make big profits. And before the prices start to pick back up, starting to DCA right now would not be a bad idea. Overall, looking at the price of Bitcoin can be deceiving both ways, up or down. It's really deceiving. Instead, try looking at the fundamentals. Is Bitcoin doing what it's supposed to do? Is Bitcoin getting adopted? Is there another currency better than Bitcoin? I mean, those are all questions for you to answer, but for me, they are all working. The fundamentals are still there. Nothing has changed throughout Bitcoin. Yes, Bitcoin is very volatile, going up and down, making you question why you even are in crypto. Bitcoin is way better than any fiat currency, which only goes straight down. Speaking of straight down, let's go into reason number 3. The US dollar has been the world reserve currency for 101 years. But to really know what this means, let's take a quick dive into some history. The world reserve currencies from 1450s till now. Starting with Portugal. Portugal held the world reserve currency for 80 years, till Spain took over and held the world reserve currency for 110 years. Then the Netherlands, that held for 80 years. Then Great Britain took over, held for 105 years. After Great Britain, you know it, it's the US. The average year of each country holding their world reserve currency is for 94 years, until their currency absolutely fails. Now, the US is past the average. But if the US dollar repeats what history says, the US dollar could lose world dominance within the next decade or two. This graph even goes to show that the US dollar's time to shine is limited. Within 20 years, it dropped to 59%, with a current path of going down. With all that being said, I don't think you should be selling your US dollars to go fully into Bitcoin, because I don't think the dollar is going to die tomorrow. I don't think it's going to die in the next few years. But you see the current path that the US dollar is in, and you see what history says about the US dollar and world reserve currency, so I would keep an eye on it. With Bitcoin becoming mainstream and other countries forming alliances to take the US dollar down, I really don't see the US dollar surviving with years to come.